good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode here of Isles Talk, Path to the Draft 2024. My name is Paul Kreischer. I'll be your host for this evening. Gary is at work, and Joe is also at work. But again, um, they're it's legit. It's fine. Um, good evening, guys. Gary and Joe they like to hang out sometimes when it comes to the draft, but this is a little more of my forte just to keep the season going for you guys, keeping you a little more interested. And I got to tell you, um, you gutterball, look at you. You guys have so much humor tonight. I love it. Hello, Angie. Angie's one of my favorites. The Rangers are out. Yes. We can all rejoice. Okay. My brother currently is not speaking to me. He had a few choice words for me. I love him. He loves me, but not at the moment. Um, having said that, listen, guys, I've been going over the 2024 draft. Um, I have, I think I have my wish list in place, and I had to go wish list again this year. Um, because with the Islanders now drafting number 20, and with the combines this week, we'll get into that a little bit later. From what I've been told, from what I've learned so far, there may not be much of a difference between number 20 and number 50, depending on the rankings of all these young players currently in the 2024 NHL draft. So, having said that, that's going to be awfully tough to, you know, try to figure out what Lou wants. Very good, Angie. There are some real good defensemen on there, and there's a couple of them I am looking at. But what I want to do is I want to make sure the rankings, my rankings, are a little more up to date. They're a little more complete. I do a little more research, and that's something that I usually do on Saturdays. And then I may have the rankings out for you guys next week, and I'm going to give you my first round wish list. And what the wish list is, um, it's my, I don't want to say favorite center, but I think the center that may fit the Islanders best, the left winger, the right winger, the defenseman, and all of that. So that wish list will be completed on Saturday, and we'll be able to do the whole draft show kind of like coming in on next Wednesday. But before we get into that, I got to tell you, when I was looking over Bridgeport's numbers this year, we're going to cover the Bridgeport Islanders a little bit, more or less the prospects this season. So if you guys have a specific question on a specific player, um, by all means, ask away. But I got to tell you, yes, the Bridgeport Islanders were pretty much last in the American Hockey League. Having said that, if the New York Islanders were plagued with injuries this upcoming season, the Bridgeport Islanders, there's a few of them right now that I wouldn't mind seeing them get called up, and I won't cringe either. That's the nice thing. So despite being in last place, I think you're going to see a couple of kids if they do get called up. I don't think they're going to look out of place. And honestly, that's what you want to. That's what you want to see. You may not get the production very very quickly, but you're going to be like, okay, they don't look bad. Not there yet, but they don't look bad. They don't look out of place, and really, that's what you're looking for. Yeah, they're going to be better. They're going to be much better, I think, this year. And believe it or not, they weren't bad to begin with. The only thing that they didn't have was offense. Okay, they only scored 166 goals. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, 166 goals for the Bridgeport Islanders. Again, there was no Alex Jeffries in the beginning of the season. There was no Cameron Berg. Uh, there was no Simon Holmstrom. Um, Andy Androff, Chris Terry, they both left. Their contracts were terminated and they were allowed to go wherever they wanted to play. So the Islanders lost a chunk of offense to start this season. Ironically, they only gave up 220 goals, which is about the league average for this year. Not bad. It's not bad. And we'll get into, well, you know what? I'm going to get into Jakob Skark real quick. I will say this about him. He's not a prospect anymore, but I wanted to bring this in for you guys real quick. I'm going to minimize this real quick. Jakob Skark, as he started to get more offense towards the end of the season, Bridgeport basically played 500 hockey for like the last 20, 25 games. Okay. Their offense started to go up because Julien Gauthier was there. You had Jeffrey showing up. You had some of the college players coming in. You had an infusion of offense. And ironically, Jakob Skark, at the beginning of the season, was actually playing to his average, 3.3. It wasn't, 3.3 is not great. Okay. Granted, that was through his first 20 games. But as Bridgeport started implementing their system and the offense started coming together, Jakob Skark's goals against average for the last 16 games he played was 2.75. Almost half a goal a game, folks. That's almost half a goal a game. So again, and to put this into another perspective, the American Hockey League plays a total of 72 games. Okay, not the 82 like the National Hockey League. Out of the 72 games this year, 34 of them were decided by one goal. Okay, that's 47% of their games. Okay, it's not like they weren't blown out of the water. They lost a lot of one goal games due to a lack of offense from that team, and literally a lack of offense. They just didn't have the players that they were kind of hoping to have when the season started. So now everybody's here for the most part. I'm still missing Cameron Burke, but we'll get into them a little bit later. But for me, what I saw out of the development of some of these players, even one in particular on defense, there's a couple of kids that, at least for now, if the New York Islanders get hit with a major plague, if they get hit with a major plague, I would be okay with some of these kids coming up and playing. They didn't win many of those games, Tommy. Yeah, those one goal games that they won, not many. Not many. Not many. They just didn't have the offense to do it. They were in the games for the most part, but they just couldn't clamp it down. They didn't have enough to clamp it down. They didn't have the offense to get them up and over that hill. They may have that coming into the season, but again, it's tough to see who's on this team ahead of time. I mean, I've got a few of those players, but the Islanders, the Bridgeport Islanders, have made a couple of good college signings. They brought in what's his name? Give me one moment. I have him right here. Hogberg from the Swedish Hockey League. He's certainly going to be a help. So, all right. Defensively, goaltending, they should be okay. For those of you who want to see Isaiah George, I think he's coming into a very good environment. The same thing with Kelly Adelius. Okay, this is not going to be a defensive flop where they're going to be, it's a team problem. That's not it. I think if you see them struggle, it's going to be their own personal adapting to the pro league, and that's going to be normal. So we'll see where they start. But in terms of the defensive environment, it's a good environment to start these kids off with. So it's not necessarily the coach. Uh, it's not what's being implemented. They're coming into a pretty good environment. And I think with enough offense, in this case, a better offense will be a better defense as well. So let's see what happens there. All right. So um you can assume correct. Robin Salo probably is going to be gone because we're going to be talking about that. Yeah, no consistency. Again, 166 goals in the American Hockey League. You're not going to get a lot of consistency. The only thing you're going to get is consistent losing, which is what happened. Okay, but if they can rack up a few goals, Bridgeport's going to be okay. So let me talk about first off Matthew Maggio. Okay, good kid, good numbers for his first year, no doubt. Okay, Maggio, 64 games, 16 goals, 13 assists, 29 points. That's third line. That's what you were kind of hoping from him in his first year. There's really nothing. You weren't coming on. You have no idea what's going on with Bridgeport. Forget it. Just stay in the chat room. Maggio for his first year was decent. He found chemistry with Ruslan Shakov. But we're going to get into Bridgeport when we're all done with these prospects. We're going to talk about Bridgeport towards that second half of the season because everything seemed to click on that second half of the season for this team. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Matthew Maggio has been working on his 200-foot game. His speed has improved. I'm sure that's what he's going to be working on during the summertime. I believe his father is a personal trainer. Maggio is going to come in ready to go. I wouldn't mind if he had the attitude this year of I'm going to make the team, the NHL team. I don't mind that at all. But I think if he comes in with another chip on his shoulder, he can throw in a few more goals. And with bringing in someone like Justin Gill on a second line with him, I think Justin Gill and Matthew Maggio, center and winger, I think that's going to be a very good chemistry line for them. So, um, again, for most of these kids, it's another solid year. Jeffries, even Dufour, Maggio, definitely Kiefler. But if the New York Islanders hit a massive plague, I'm okay with these kids coming up. I don't think they're going to look out of place. They just didn't get the offensive help this year that they needed. Do I want to see these kids play 40 games in the NHL? No. No. Give me 5 to 10 games if it comes to that. Does it coincide with the Wah hire? Maybe yes and no. Maybe yes and no. It was that second half of influx of players as well. Your goal scorers finally showed up, and it's like, oh my God, they're in a hockey game now. They're winning a few hockey games because they have a little more help. So that was one of the bigger ones. So Matthew Maggio is on a good pace. Could he see some time in the NHL in the future? I still think so. Where is he going to be? Give him a little more time. I do like his two-way game. I like his 200-foot game. Let's see what he can do on the offensive side. Let's see what he can do with an actual center like Justin Gill, who's good at passing, who's good at shooting the puck as well. I really want to see that chemistry between the two of them. But Maggio did all right for his first year. I'm going to throw in a sleeper for you here, boys and girls. I'm going to throw in a sleeper here for you on the defensive side. Aiden Fulp. Okay. Aiden Fulp, right-handed defenseman. He was signed as a free agent 2 seasons ago. Okay. He was a -20 for Bridgeport this year. He had 2 problems, actually. Robin Salo and Dennis Chalowski. When he was paired with those two, he was a minus 16. Seth Helgelson, for most of the season, he was like a minus 2, which isn't bad on a team with absolutely no offense. When Samuel Bolduc was down there for the 5 games, Fulp and Bolduc were together. They ended up going a +2. Whenever he was paired with any other defenseman, he was just a little bit on the negative side or he was on the plus side. So I don't think Aiden Fulp is going to see any time right now. I would love to see him another full season, without a doubt. But if you were to put him with someone like Mike Riley right now, I don't think the numbers would look good. If he were to put with Samuel Bolduc or with an Alexander Romanov, someone who can put up a few more points but still be a little more defensive minded, I think the Islanders would have something in Aiden Fulp. I think next season, depending on how this one goes, he did. If Aiden Fulp has like a coming out season for Bridgeport, I could see Aiden Fulp as a 7th defenseman next season for the right-handed side. Okay. I'm not going to put him any higher at the moment because of where the Islanders are. But there's something with Fulp. He's good defensively, very sound. But you got to put him with the right player for right now, who's also a little defensive minded. Look, real quick, we talked about Isaiah George last week. He's good. He was good on the Ontario Hockey League. He was on a very good London team. That's a blessing and a curse. I'm not putting any expectations on Isaiah George this year. Am I expecting him to make it out of camp on the New York Islanders? No. No. I will be happily surprised, and I will rejoice in saying I was wrong about the kid. That's a very tough leap from the Ontario Hockey League to the NHL. Remember how long it took Noah Dobson? Okay. Going to be tough on Isaiah George. I think Samuel Bolduc right now has a better shot at being that third pair defenseman than Isaiah George. Yeah, that's it. Oh, my most complete defenseman in the minors. Are we talking prospects? Maybe Grant Hutton. Grant Hutton doesn't put up a lot of points. He doesn't have to. But that right-handed defenseman, I'm honest, he was also injured this past season. But Grant Hutton, at least in the NHL, should be able to get you 10 games. He won't look out of place. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. He's not going to get you a lot of points. But if you put a Mike Riley with Grant Hutton, I don't think Grant Hutton's going to be all that bad for the New York Islanders. That's where I'm going right now. Absolutely. Team is done with Robin Salo. He's a UFA. He is a UFA. So is Dennis Chalowski. So, you know, where they end up, we'll find out. Thinking complete enough to replace Mayfield. Let's see what Aiden Fulp can do. Let's see what Aiden Fulp can do. I want to give him another good season. If he can pull out another good season on a consistent pairing, I could see Aiden Fulp replacing Scott Mayfield at some point. But we'll get into that a little bit later. No. So that's Aiden Fulp. Just watch out for him this season. We'll see what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to jump into this guy right here, Ruslan Ashakov. Been saying it for yeah, no doubt. Here's something that I was corrected on. I actually found this out myself, and you guys can actually look it up. Ishakov, believe it or not, as you know, I've called him the Matt Barzell of the American Hockey League. It turns out now that Cap Friendly has moved over to the 24-25 season, that Ishakov has one more year of waiver exempt. And I'm starting to wonder if that was the reason why his agent said he might be signing a KHL contract. I just discovered that today. I was looking up his numbers. I looked them up on Cap Friendly, and there's the whole waiver exempt. And turns out he does have one more year of waiver exempt. Now, I could be wrong. You guys are here. Go on to Cap Friendly, check it out, confirm it for me. But it makes total sense why his agent would be like, we're going to bring him back to the KHL instead of playing another year at the American Hockey League. That's interesting. I don't mind him as a 13th forward, but if you can get him more reps in Bridgeport, I think you got to do it. Ishakov with Justin Gill and Matthew Maggio, yes, please. Yes, please. No doubt. That's development for Maggio right there. Without question. I'm all over that. So, again, go on Cap Friendly for me, double check my work, click on Ishakov, and then click on the waivers exempt and confirm for me if he's still waiver exempt. To me, that's what it looked like on Cap Friendly. I may have read it wrong, but that makes all the sense in the world. Will Ishakov accept another two-way deal, or will he pursue the KHL? That's going to be in question there. Other than that, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more out of him this season, numbers wise. Granted, the team around him wasn't that great, but I was kind of hoping he'd take his game to another level. I think he still can. And now he's got enough pieces where he can just, play better 5-on-5. His 200-foot game's got to get better. We've all agreed on that. He's gotten a small taste of the NHL. I think he realizes what he needs to do. He's got to put in the work if he's going to make it this summer. If he really wants to play in the NHL. If the Islanders decide to keep him, I still think he's a 13th forward. Maybe a 14th forward. All the highlights are nice. I'm not going to lie. And yes, there are times when I wish we had him on the shootouts, no doubt. But the Islanders, as a team, couldn't do shootouts anyway. I don't think Ishakov would have saved us. Okay. What I want to see from him is more 5-on-5. He is waiver exempt. Okay, that's one confirmation right there. He is waiver exempt for one more year. Okay, I did not read that wrong. I wanted to make sure you guys saw that as well. Okay. Would I send him down? Yeah, you guys know me. I'm Bill Torrey all over the place. Send these kids down, another year of development. But look, this is going to be a really good, complete team. I think this might be the best team Ishakov's been on. Yep. So he is waiver exempt. This might be his best team he's ever been on. I would love to see him flourish. Put him on a line with Justin Gill, who's coming up from the Q, and Matthew Maggio. That's a phenomenal second line. That's a phenomenal second line. I'm excited. I'm just excited for that one. If Justin Gill can adapt pretty quickly to being a second line center, absolutely. But that would grow Ishakov's game. That'll grow Matthew Maggio's game, no doubt. But if Ishakov can develop that 200 checking game a little bit, kind of like what Matthew Barzell did under Barry Trotz. If he can do that, develop that game a little bit more, then you can bring the kid up again for the playoffs. He'll be more in tune for that. His size won't be as much of a factor, especially when he's trying to check people. Yeah, defense, no doubt, no doubt on the New York Islanders. And defense really was not an issue for Bridgeport though. Really wasn't. So that's Ruslan Ishakov. So again, the other ones, the other Bridgeport Islanders, DeFore. DeFore missed a good chunk of the season. Personal issues. He missed that season. We're gonna let that slide. But again, he's another one. I really want to see him dominate the American Hockey League. He's ready for it. I think the Bridgeport Islanders need to get him a center to go along with Alex Jeffries. We'll get into Jeffries in a minute. When Dufour was missing goals, the shot was good, but almost every time I noticed a shot by him, his head just went up. It's like, how did that not go in? And I think it was just a case of the American Hockey League caught up to William Dufour, and he has to find a game now to, his game to elevate. Because if he can elevate his game, if he can not fix his shot, but keep doing what he's doing until he has that aha moment, I'm going to be okay with him in the NHL. His skating has improved. His 200-foot game has improved. Does he need another full season? I think so. I'm always going to be critical of prospects. Always. I've learned this lesson. But putting William Dufour and Alex Jeffries together on a line, yes, please. Yes, please. I'm going to talk about Alex Jeffries real quick. Alex Jeffries, the Bridgeport Islander. He did well for his first couple of games in Bridgeport. As Mike McMahon and I both said, we think he's going to be a better pro player. I'm a little higher on Alex Jeffries than I am William Dufour at the moment. Who's got the better snipe? Boy, do I really want to find out. I really want to find that out. That's going to be a lot of fun for me to watch next year. Is Jeffries more of a winger or a C? He is more of a winger. He's got a right-handed shot, but he plays left wing. So he can play both wings. He can play center in a pinch, but that's not really his forte. He did center in high school. He did play center over in Merrimack this year. It didn't go over so well, but he can play all three positions in a pinch. Not yet. We'll get into Tekin in a minute. We brought up Tikkanen also in Worcester during that time. When it comes to Tikkanen, when it comes to Jeffries, when it comes to those players coming in and getting hot, you guys also have to remember, not only was the offense doing very, very well, but when you're the last place team, there's no pressure. Bridgeport ended up being the Buffalo Sabres or the Ottawa Senators of the American Hockey League. There's no pressure to win. You're just going out there, you're doing your best, you're playing, whatnot. There's no pressure at that point. So entering this season, they got to have a higher standard. My hope was like, my hope for them is this: what they went through this past second half of the season is like, oh, we really got a team here. We got something. I don't know if they're going to be underdogs yet. I don't know if they're going to be favorites. I don't think they're going to be favorites, but their goal, bare minimum, is a playoff spot, bare minimum. Okay. Tikkanen could be a part of that. Now, Henry Tikkanen, for me, I still think he's going to start the season in Worcester. I think this might be Jakob Skarik's final year anyway. But Hogberg, Tikkanen, Skarik together as a trio, I think that's enough goaltending to get them into the playoffs. What I want to see out of Tikkanen is that same theme. He was coming in, no pressure on the team. The team succeeded. How is he now going to do when the expectations are a little higher? And that's what I want to see from this entire group. And folks, I know the prospect pool is not great, but most of these kids now are former prospects who have got to show that they can all work together under the pressure now. Some of them are close to NHL. Even if it's just filling a role for 10 games, doesn't matter. The Islanders haven't been able to do this in 5 years, 6 years. Call it 5, 6 years. It's actually nice that the New York Islanders may actually have some kind of confidence in the younger players where they can come up and they don't look out of place. What are we talking? 2018? The last time they went into the playoffs, 2019, something like that, 18, I think, or 17. The Josh Ho-Sangs, your Michael Dal Cole eras, your Oliver Wahlstrom, your Kiefer Bellows, those teams were pretty good. They didn't go anywhere. Regular season, they did very well in 4 years straight. We're finally back to that point. That's what I want to see. Um, Absolutely. That's absolutely it. I'm telling you now, Alex Jeffries is going to put pressure on Anders Lee. No doubt. Get that. Let's talk about that right now. I think so. William DeFore, he's going to put pressure. And again, we're talking June 5th. We're talking June 5th. He's going, if he has a phenomenal season, he could put pressure on Oliver Wahlstrom. He could put pressure on Kyle Palmieri. Gotta see that. You want to see that. This is the type of season that the Bridgeport Islanders need to have. Any development concerns with Corn leaving? No. 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 I think you're going to see maybe a little more consistency. But again, 166 goals scored by the team last year. That's a big difference. Julien Gauthier got waived, cleared waivers, and all of a sudden he puts on an onslaught in the American Hockey League. You kind of needed that. You needed that offensive uplift. So I'm wondering, with more offensive pressure this season, are your goaltending numbers going to be different? Are your defensive numbers going to be different? That's my hope. The hope is yes. Yes. This is what every Islander fan has been waiting for. This is the year to look. Definitely want to see the younger guys put pressure on the regulars. No doubt. No doubt. For me, I would love to see the kids flourish in Bridgeport this year. And then if the veterans have start getting injuries, then they can sweat a little. Those younger players, this close. They're this close. Um, I think that is going to change. I can't see them being at the bottom this coming season. I just can't. I mean, in all honesty, the were they the Sound Tigers at the time? The Sound Tigers had like a 600 winning percentage, and they missed the playoffs because of the different playoff bracket that the AHL implemented. They've been in a funk forever, yes, but again, I will, let's go over this. How many times did we see Matthew Barzal in the American Hockey League? Anthony Beauvillier? No. Noah Dobson? No. Let's talk about him real quick. Oliver Wahlstrom. 50 games in the American Hockey League. Folks, it wasn't enough. You get Oliver Wahlstrom for a solid 100, 150 games, okay. Bridgeport could be making the playoffs. Okay, that's my point. Even Simon Holmstrom this year, I wanted him to stay in Bridgeport to help get this team a little bit better. But again, it may have been better for him in his development to stay with the Islanders. But again, with 20 and 21, Lou drafted a lot of college players. A lot of these college players ended up staying 5, 6 years. Some of them going for national championships. I'm okay with that. But we're at a situation, we're at a point to this organization where all these kids are here now, except for Cameron Bird. If there's ever a time to take a look at your prospects, this is your year. No doubt, Jim. No doubt. And I'm going to segue that to later on. That's an excellent point. That's the one thing I don't know. Who's going to center Jeffries and Dufour? That's something I'm hoping free agency can fix. Who's my Hudson Fashion? Who's my Julien Gauthier of centers that the Islanders could sign knowing they'll waive? The NHL numbers may not be there, but the American Hockey League, they dominate, or at least they're close to it. But there's enough NHL experience where they can get Jeffries and Dufour to another slot. Get me a playmaking centerman for Jeffries and Dufour. Give me Ruslan Ishakov with Justin Gill and Matthew Maggio. Yes, please. Yes, please to all of that. No, Berg is going for North Dakota again. Again, national championship. I'm all right with that. I can live with that. So, getting back to Oliver Wahlstrom, he's part of my little graduating class. He played, 23, the entire 23 years, not 23 years, excuse me, at age 23, this entire season. He's a graduate. He's my potential. Ah, I really, from what I've been able to read, who I've been able to talk to, it's looking like Oliver Wahlstrom may only fetch a third rounder in this year's draft. For me, I would rather keep him. I would rather keep him. I think it was said that he just took off his brace about a month before the season was over. Um, that's tough. That's tough. And he's believe it or not, folks, even for being as high of a first round pick, the Islanders did good on that pick. There aren't a lot of right wingers that may catch up to Oliver Wahlstrom. If he can stay healthy and finish off his career on a healthy note, he may still end up being that top 10, top 11 pick uh, for that 2018 draft. He's got all the tools. He's got to put it together. He's got to have the attitude. Kyle Palmieri's 1 year away. I don't think they bring back Kyle Palmieri. Oliver Wahlstrom, he's got to have the summer of his life. There's still something there of value for Oliver Wahlstrom. Even if the Islanders, if they wanted to trade Oliver Wahlstrom for me, getting another prospect right-handed defenseman would do this organization wonders. I'd be okay with that. Yeah, attitude is a big tool, no doubt. Okay. The work ethic. That's what we're talking about right here. I think if he goes anywhere else, I think he's going to get crunched. He's just I don't know if he's going to put it all together. Maybe a change of scenery would do him good. Look, if you put him in a spot with Anaheim, if you put him with Chicago, maybe he puts up the points, but where's the teams going? You know what I mean? I almost want to call it the lottery league. You've got 5, 6, 7 teams who are constantly not making the playoffs for a certain amount of time. The lottery league is probably better than most of the teams in the American Hockey League, but you're not going anywhere. You know, I know Waz said, I've got time for Oliver, but that was like 9 games. I would we'll find out. We'll find out at the draft. We'll find out at the draft. Yeah. Yeah. The knee injuries are tough. There's no doubt. See, now I wouldn't mind that. I don't mind that. Even a prospect defenseman who he might be a year ahead of Aiden Fulp. He might get that call up for Scott Mayfield if he goes down, or Ryan Pulock. You know what I mean? Or if the Islanders go in free agency that route. Wally is definitely that one player I don't think we're going to know until Lou makes a decision or Patrick makes that decision on. But I don't think Wallstrom is a bust. I don't. I think he'd do well in the lottery league. I think he'd do well in Anaheim. He'd do well in San Jose. He'd do well in Chicago. My fear is that he gets traded to a team like Florida or Boston, and he flourishes there. Oh, that would pain me. That hurts. I don't even know if I like the idea of sending him to Buffalo because Buffalo's close. Ottawa, okay, maybe. But, sending him to a competitive team like Boston scares me. That I wouldn't like. That would really I mean, I would love it for his development, but that could come back to haunt the Islanders at some point. All right. The other non-Bridgeport Islander, but another graduate that I like to talk about is Samuel Bolduc. He's exactly where I wanted him to be. He was the seventh defenseman. Maybe a few more games would have been nice. Um, Again, a couple of coaches now in a short amount of time. His fate lies with Patrick Waugh. I still think Bolduc could be a top 4 defenseman for the Islanders. I think he would be Adam Pellick's eventual replacement. He doesn't have to get there yet. I'm okay with Mike Riley signing for another year or two and Bolduc becoming that seventh defenseman for one more season. I'm all right with that. All right. No, no, no. I agree. Bolduc will get to play. And I agree with that. Patrick Waugh, Samuel Bolduc, I think they're going to get a lot of practice together. Thomas, you want to trade everybody, don't you? Good Lord. Thomas, I think, has the first round pick traded. He's got Bolduc traded. He's got Wallstrom traded. Like, man, he's got everybody. I think he's going to be a regular too, Ryan. He's got it. He just has to find a consistency. And I think he can find that consistency under Patrick Waugh. I really do. Um, But again, Wallstrom, Bolduc, they're kind of where I expected them to be at this point. The issue that a lot of Islander fans have is that a lot of these older players stayed healthy this year. Adam Pelech did not, but again, Adam Pelech didn't deserve some of those injuries. But Bolduc, for his part, with what he had, did not play badly. Yes, D-men's always take a while, and I think if the Islanders have enough structure in there, and we kind of learned something from Bolduc, if the communication is out there on the ice like he was with Bortuzzo, he was playing much better. So maybe the other Islanders defensemen need to be a little more vocal to kind of help out Bolduc until it comes like muscle memory. But I like what Samuel Bolduc has done so far. Associate coach, good luck to him. You know, um, it didn't work out here. He only had a 2-year contract. He only had a 2-year contract, believe it or not. So, him going to Toronto, I think he'll be a good balance between Berube's kind of like a defensive first and Lane Lambert's open system. I think that'll be a good mix. I think that'll be if they can find a happy medium, that would be good for there. Yeah, I think so. That would be a good mix. You know, that's a yin and yang moment there for them. So, is there another Bridgeport Islander that you guys would like me to talk about? Marshall Warren recently signed Long Island kid. He is going to be your Sebastian Aho version. Okay. Kind of like on the same size, but this kid's a little more built. Um, I don't think he'll be knocked off as quickly. I think he's a little quicker um, than um, Sebastian Aho. He's in my opinion, I really like his passing, especially in transition. If he were to ever to get called up again, I want to give him a minimum 50 games in the American League. I don't think he'd look out of place, but his passing is very good, and maybe on a power play, I'd like to see that during the season. I'd like to see how he works on that. Um, but again, some of these kids, even the college free agents now, I don't think they're going to look out of place, and that's what I want to see. Robin Salo is an unrestricted free agent. And looking at the the left defense side, I'm looking at Marshall Warren, Mitchell, Odelius, and Isaiah George. I don't see a spot for Robin Salo unless maybe one of Odelius or Warren start the season in Worcester. That would be the only way I'd see the Isles re-signing Robin Salo. Same thing with Dennis Chalowski. They're both left-handed defensemen. Rajaniemi's probably going to start in Worcester. I think they're going to give him the Henrik Tikkanen development, play as many games in Worcester, learn the North American game, try to get to be a little more competitive. He didn't have a bad junior career, but most of it, he comes in as an overager in juniors, which is fine. Um, let him get used to the North American rink. Let him get used to America. Let him get used to this kind of hockey lifestyle. And we see what happens. Tikkanen flourished to second year, and he got a New York Islanders contract. Let's see what Rajaniemi can do. I still think he's in a mold, something similar to a Travis Hamonic. But again, let's see what he can do in North America. Right D is thin. Yes. I'm going to get into that with the draft. Quinn Finley, another year in college. Yes, University of Wisconsin. That's what you want. You want these kids to play 2 years, bare minimum in college. My humble opinion. Minimum 2 years. And Quinley, this will be his second year. What do you mean what happened with the players that need to be signed? Are we talking draft picks? They probably just weren't good enough, or Bridgeport signed them like Rajaniemi did. Bridgeport signed Rajaniemi. So Bridgeport's taking care of him in Bridgeport and Worcester. The Islanders did not have to waste a contract. That's pretty much what that means. All right. Are there any other Bridgeport players you'd like me to go through real quick? Like Matthew said, the right D is a little thin. Okay. In this particular draft, okay, heading into this draft, let's talk about it real quick from an organization perspective. We have no draft picks from juniors anymore. They're all gone. Nobody in the U.S. Hockey League. We have 3 in Europe, and we have 5 in college. Yep. We do. Where did he go? Oh no, I'm down here. Yep, that's going to change soon. We talked about that as well. College hockey is going to get better by a long shot. So the Islanders, organization-wise, no one in juniors heading into next season. 5 in college, 3 in Europe. No one in the U.S. Hockey League. Okay, it's a little bare. It's a little bare. When I take a look at Bridgeport, the Islanders need to sign or draft a first-line centerman, especially for Jeffries and Dufour this year, and a right-handed defenseman. That's my hope. That's my hope. And I do have one on my wish list, which I will go over next week, but I want to make sure that the rankings and everything else is still in place. There's a couple of them that I'm still looking at that could fill in that role. But what I like so far, even though we're a little thin right now, the Islanders have an opportunity to fill in a few more to the point where next season, and I've said this before, starting next season, the Islanders, from a depth perspective, from a prospect perspective, they don't have to trade away their first round pick anymore. Everyone's going to be loaded up. I can't begin to tell you how long it's been that I'm actually able to say that to you guys. The Islanders, starting next season, from an organizational depth perspective, do not have to trade their first round pick. And my hope is that they start drafting like the Dallas Stars. They draft their first rounders every single year, and they bring them up when they need them. Because every first round pick coming into the American Hockey League from here on out, they're going to be challenged. It's not going to be easy for them making that transition from juniors to the pro level. They're going to have to up their games, and that's what you want to see. Granted, it's bare minimum, folks. We basically had nothing after 2019 in the minors. Nothing. COVID did not do us any justice, but we're coming to a point now where we've got the college kids we've been asking for in Bridgeport. We've got all of those 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounders. They're all in Bridgeport or Worcester. There's some kind of organizational depth and now some talent where these first rounders starting next season, it's not going to be easy for them. That's what you want. Can't begin to tell you how long it's been for me to even say that. Literally building from the ground up. The Islanders are literally filling in this hole that was really, really deep. No, it's not. It's not. But it's not supposed to be an easy transition either from juniors to the American Hockey League. It's not. It's not supposed to be. This is where their character is really going to be tested. You're good, Tommy. I know what you meant. It's both ways, though. It's not supposed to be easy when you get to the NHL. It's not supposed to be easy when you get to the American Hockey League. That's why Boston has been good for so long. The Providence Bruins are always there. That's why Tampa has been good for so long. Syracuse has been there. A little nod to Pittsburgh and Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Okay. Even Washington and Hershey. Look at what Hershey's doing. Washington almost made the playoffs. Good for them. Lehigh Valley has been improving. That has helped Philadelphia. The Islanders are now at a spot, finally, where, yes, the kids that today will eventually challenge the regulars at some point. At bare minimum next season. Like I said, if there's a plague of injuries, if the New York Islanders have a plague of injuries, and we're back to that beer league where eighth place is you're gonna need 100 or 104 points to make it into the playoffs, let these kids play. Let them play, no doubt. But from an organizational standpoint, this is what you want out of Bridgeport. Their record is going to be of the utmost importance for me, because then we can move forward with the Islanders here. Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I know a lot of fans are high on Isaiah George. Again, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be in a Mike Riley mold. I think his defensive game will be better than Mike Riley's, no doubt. But give this kid some time. It's like I said at the beginning of the show, the defensive structure here, the environment is better than a couple of years ago. There's no doubt. I will say this, when Isaiah George is really ready to go, he's not going to look out of place. A lot of these kids are not going to look out of place when if or when they hit the National Hockey League. That's what you want. Now, how does this pertain to the 2024 NHL Draft? Unfortunately, I'm doing a wish list again because from what I've been able to find out, from what I've been told by other scouts, from other people who follow the draft, who are as nuts as I am, there is no difference between prospects 20 through 50. It is literally a philosophical draft. It is a philosophical draft. Let me explain to you this one. Tommy's going to get a laugh because we did this in 2019. Arthur Kaliev, Connor McMichael, and there were a bunch of others right there for us at 19. Right there. Was it 19 or 18, whatever it was? He was right there. We had all the prospects lined up for the first time of me covering the draft at that time. What are we looking at? Over 10 years? I had, yeah, Suzuki. I had all of my 5 players, my wish list, all 5 of them, just waiting to be picked at number 19. And we select Simon Holmstrom, who ended up being ranked number 49. Ah, and everyone was like, "Who?" And I was like, I know I had him in the lower ranks, like the lower rounds. Folks, this is the type of draft we're gonna have. Um, Grab your popcorn. Who are they gonna pick? I don't know. But we're gonna talk about that next week. Yeah, yeah. It's like who? And I'm like, he was. I had him in the beginning of the third round. I was just like, oh my god, this is the type of draft, folks. It's a philosophical draft. The prospect rankings, in all honesty, may not even matter. It may not. It may not. We'll see how close we actually are this year. Um, Having said that, could I see the Islanders trading down again? Sure, I could. Off the radar again, yes. But this is the type of draft. And now, let me explain the 2024 draft. A lot of 17-year-olds played this season. A lot of them just turned 18, like over the last month or two. There are a lot of young players that Lou has been drafting over the years. The same model. Like this is the actual type of draft he's been good in. Yes. Oh, hold on. The rankings are more accurate now than the COVID years, but the problem with this, it's not a problem. This is not a thin draft. This has got to be one of the youngest or the youngest drafts I've ever seen. And a lot of other people have said the same thing. You're looking at 17-year-olds for the most part. Now, for the 17-year-olds that don't get drafted this year, they're coming back next season, but they're going to come back a year better. The 2025 draft should be a little more consistently deeper. I don't think it's going to be a philosophical draft like it is this year or it was in 2019. Or at least for us Islander fans, it was. So, having said that, would I be shocked if Lou traded down? No, I would not. And John, that was my next one. They're using these picks to move an unwanted contract. That's a possibility. I absolutely. And again, looking at my wish list, John, to help you out with that, there's at least out of the five players, there's four of them. You're looking at a solid 4 years before you probably see any kind of consistency in the NHL. It's very similar to something like Simon Holmstrom, and in some cases Oliver Wallstrom. If Wallstrom didn't have his injuries, we might be having a different conversation, maybe. But this is very reminiscent of 2019 Simon Holmstrom. These kids are a minimum 3 years, 3.5 years, solid 4 years away. Do the Islanders want to wait 4 years? Is there another team that would be willing to wait for that? We don't know yet. We'll find out. I know. I love you. Yeah. Wiggle a seventh pick and coach Sharagovich out of Calgary in a big splash. I'd love Sharagovich. I would love to tick off Randy. Oh, he did not talk to me for the rest of the night when I mentioned Sharagovich. I just want you guys to know that. He does not like that idea. Having said that, the NHL combines are this week or they're just complete, they're just finishing up. Okay, that means agents have already talked to general managers. General managers are aware if some players are returning or they're going to get a contract done. Some trade deadline, trade discussions may come back up during the NHL combine. Okay, be careful with the rumors now. The agents have gotten their information. The agents are going to try to build up their players. That's what they get paid to do. There's going to be a ton of clickbait, a ton of clickbait moving on probably for the next 3 weeks. From an Islanders perspective, I will say this: there is some value to this 20th overall pick, whether it's for a cap or for the Islanders in this case. They could draft a player who may be able to help them sooner than later. I can tell you right now, conversations left and right in the NHL. It started already. But for me, I think if I do entertain trade rumors, it'll be the week of the draft, that Stanley Cup Finals. That's when I think I'm going to pay attention, maybe to some of the rumors. Maybe. For now, I'm just going to be like, grab some popcorn, watch the rumors, and be like, okay, that's fine. But again, I'm really intrigued with the second round, folks. The second round for me, the Islanders can do some damage. Yes, they could still trade the picks, but the second round for me, I think that's where their bread and butter could be, uh, de- depending on what they want to do. The fourth, fifth, and sixth round. I don't know if the Islanders have to draft another overager. If they can do that through free agency, I'm okay with that. If the Islanders can continue to draft very young, and I mean just turning 18, just turning 18-year-olds, drafting the 17-year-olds, I'm okay with that. That's going to further the development of these kids and of the organization. We have been, yes. Nabokov moving up on the board, he better not be. I still want Nabokov. But I've been thinking about that as well. There's a couple of other goalies I have done a deeper research on, and it's like, okay, where are we in terms of the goalies? Where is Tikkanen really going to end up? Tristan Lennox has got to stay healthy as well in Worcester. I really want to see what he does. There's a lot of things going on. Game 7 OT, you are horrible. You're worse than I am. In all honesty, if we're going to talk NHL playoffs real quick, I've got Florida in 5 games. Florida in 5. Trottier was a second rounder. Very good. Florida in 6. Who else do you guys got? So yeah, I'm not opposed to the Islanders trading down. I'm not opposed to the Islanders trading the pick. Again, if they can find themselves a right-handed defenseman, a prospect perhaps, or even a late bloomer, I take that. Did I delete my water cooler talk? What's wrong with me? Give me one moment here. Can't even type. There we go. Okay. Water cooler talk, boys and girls. That's it on the draft. That's it on Bridgeport. Listen, Bridgeport had its issues. Bridgeport's going to be better next season. They can't get any worse. But I think there's more of a complete team heading into next season. What I'm missing here so far, and again, Copperwood was signed, but I don't know if he's going to be in Worcester or if he's going to be part of Bridgeport. I don't really know. Talk about the goalie coaching changes. Well, look, it's apparent Sorokin's coach was helping him. Can he help the other goaltenders? Maybe. What I see now is a level of consistency, right? We're going to see a level of consistency. What that also may mean is that I could also see, and this is what I had talked about a couple of shows ago, the Islanders drafting another goalie. And if Sorokin is around for another 8 years, I'm not against drafting another Russian goaltender. I would really love to see the Islanders become a goalie factory while Sorokin is here. Varlamov is not going to be here forever. We know that. But if we can get another goaltender who can help out, and if he becomes that player, well, okay, he's a bona fide number one, but he's not going to be it with Sorokin here. Let's trade him for assets. You know what I mean? And we keep doing that with every goalie that we have. Making this goalie change is that first start. Because now you've got a level of consistency. Thank you. Sometimes I sound like I know what I'm doing. Sometimes. Yes. Yes. Granted, the goalies in this draft, a lot of them are 6'1", a little bit of a height thing. I get that. If they got a good glove, if they're that athletic, okay, that can compensate. You find yourself another 6'4" goalie, all right, you're in the money now. Sorokin was a third rounder. I think so. Yes. Yes. So yeah, I like the goalie change. I mean, Mitch Korn and Barry Trotz. It's peanut butter and jelly over there for the NHL. And this is the point I'm trying to drive. This is a season where Bridgeport cannot be quicksand. They can't. I'll take a 500 record. I'll take better than that. But you really want to see a compete level out of this team. There's got to be something coming together. Now, in terms of free agency, again, I would love to see a first line centerman with some NHL experience, but puts up really good American Hockey League numbers if they're still around. Put him on a first line with Alex Jeffries and William DeFore. Yes, please. That's going to elevate their game. That's going to elevate their development. For those of you who asked about Justin Gill, listen, he is an American Hockey League version to Bo Horvat. Do I see him making the National Hockey League? I don't think so. Do I think he's going to be a solid number one or number two centerman in the American Hockey League? Absolutely. But you put Ishakov, if he comes down, with Justin Gill and Matthew Maggio, yes, please. Yes, please. I'll take that. That would be phenomenal. Yes. Yes. Compete and professionalism as the mottos, no doubt. And listen, the Islanders have an American Hockey League Coach of the Year. The structure is there. They got to develop a culture. That's what they are now missing. They are missing the culture. They have to define that this year. Oh no, no doubt, Ryan. Yeah, I'm not saying get rid of Varley anytime soon, but Varley over the next 2 years will give Bridgeport enough time to develop a goalie or two to where if it's Varley's time to go, they're going to be ready. Ah, there. I will get yelled at for this. I will get yelled at for this, and I'm gonna laugh when I get yelled at for this. There is a part of me. there there is a part of me right now that would really love to see the Islanders re-sign Jack Capuano. uh, I I want to see you guys absolutely explode. I want to see Jack Capuano come back as the associate coach for the New York Islanders. Yeah. Ah, I mentioned it to Joe. Exactly. I didn't have a picture. I should have had that right there waiting, Ryan. I didn't expect that question to come up. I just to see you guys like, oh, this is what I wanted to see. Absolutely. I want to see you guys go absolutely berserk if the Islanders ever announce Jack Capuano. And if you want to blame me for jinxing it, I am all for it. Other than that, I got nothing for you. I want to see Jack Capuano back just to see you guys. I literally want to be a fly on everybody's wall and just go nuts. I do. Oh, you guys will lose your marbles. Yes, please. Yes, blame me. Absolutely. I'm all for it. Oh, no doubt. Keep those drinks going. You know what? Abbotsford uh looks available. Might not get in on Jeremy Collin. All right. On a serious note, there's a part of me that wouldn't mind Jeremy Collin as an assistant coach or as an associate coach with Patrick Waugh. Not because of his Bridgeport ties or anything else like that. Jeremy Collin's really close to being a a really good long term NHL coach. That would not be a bad idea. You know what? I don't think Larry Robinson wants to coach anymore. I think he is now retired in SoCal. Chris Chelios is an interesting option. Guy Carbon, I'd love Guy Carbonneau. Put Guy Carbonneau with Matthew Barzell. Oh my God, that would be a dream for Joe. I'm telling you right now, Joe would absolutely love that. Guy Carbonneau working with Matthew Barzell, that would be that would be it. That would be a fun time. You know what? Yeah, you guys are saying McLean. He had the tools this time. Maybe McLean comes back. I don't know. You know, yeah, but as far as the coaching goes, I got nothing for you. I- Out of the two coaches, maybe McLean comes back, but he McLean's got to work with Noah Dobson. Believe it or not, um, Noah Dobson in the playoffs did not put up any kind of major points, especially on a power play. Um, I still feel Noah Dobson has another level to him. I think McLean's got to work with Dobson a little bit more, uh, and we'll go from there. I don't think so. I don't know. Am I interested in a rumor? Why not? It's water cooler talk. Why not? I don't care. Remember, rumors are only good for 3 days, folks. Lyle Richardson is on air on this show saying the same thing. Okay. Rumors are only good for 3 days. But go ahead, Thomas. Give me your rumor. I agree, Ryan. I think that first half of the season absolutely did not do him any justice. I agree with that. And I agree with this as well, Jeff. I think Romanov has a lot more to give. Romanov finds a little more consistency and allowing the game come to him. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely played an absolute ton. No doubt. Yes, first half was outstanding. Boychuk behind the bench with a D would be nice. Maybe. Maybe. I think he likes his role the way it is right now. I guess so. Yeah, I have no idea. Dobson, I think Dobson was burnt out. I think Dobson was burnt out. That's just my personal opinion. You know what? I can't blame Adam Pellick for taking a shot to the head. I think he took 2 shots to the head. They were one of them was on purpose, the other one was inadvertent, and I think the other one was his wrist. That one no one saw coming either. Um, those were some fluky injuries that he had this year. One of them was absolutely not necessary. So I'm a little more lenient with Adam Pellick. Yeah, that cheap shot, dirty hit. Yeah, that's not Pellick not staying healthy. Gensel rumored to Chicago. Okay, I'm all right with that. Let Gensel go to Chicago. That's in the Western Conference. Fine by me. That's fine. Let him play with Bedard. Works for me. Absolutely. Yeah, Dobson getting way too many minutes. Right. And that's the thing with Samuel Bolduc now. Okay. Samuel Bolduc is that seventh defenseman. If Adam Pellick can have a luckier, shall we say, a luckier season, I think Samuel Bolduc can come in and limit Noah Dobson's minutes throughout the season. And then you're going to see more consistency out of both Romanoff and Dobson. I think Bolduc can do that. Yeah. 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 No, no doubt. Yeah. A healthy Mayfield, no doubt. A very lucky Adam Pellick will also go a long way. And again, it's an environment that I want Samuel Bolduc to learn from. You're not going to learn any better than where he's at right now. And my hope is with the structure that Patrick Watt puts in place, especially at training camp, I think you're going to see a little more stride from Samuel Bolduc. I want to say towards the second half of the season, especially in 2 years, 2 seasons. We're having this conversation 2 seasons from now. I think you guys are going to be very, very happy with Samuel Bolduc. No doubt. But give him a little more time. That's all they need. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I still love Pullock too, you know. But again, trade rumors, we'll see what happens. Mayfield will be ready for camp. Yeah. But again, right, as much as I love Pullock, I still think he should be doing more, at least offensively. I know he's trying to be more of that defensive defenseman, but man, he was putting up those offensive numbers, and the Islanders didn't lose. That's how much of an impact Ryan Pulock can have on this team. He's got to put up more offensive numbers, and he's capable of doing it. If Pulock puts up more offensive numbers, forget it. The Islanders aren't losing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, think about it. That was the five fastest goals I think we've ever seen him score in a season. What did he play? 40 games? 40 games, 5 goals. Where has that been? Where has that been? Exactly. Sure. Absolutely, Jeff. But very much like Bridgeport, New York needs to come together. New York's got to get it all together right now. Okay. Fair enough. Works for me. You know. So again, we'll see what happens. And again, am I opposed to the Islanders trading away this pick? I'm not. But this would be the last year. I'm not opposed to it. I'll be a little salty. Again, someone who covers the draft all the time. Okay, you want your work to be rewarded in some way. But I don't think the Islanders can plug in. They can still plug in one of their missing gaps with that first overall pick. If we're having fun here, if JG Pageau can be traded for a second round pick and say 2026 second round pick, okay, do it. Whatever. That's fine. You're now you now have more wiggle room to work with. But I'm not opposed to the Islanders trading down and collecting more picks. You know what I mean? I'm all right. I'm For me personally, when it comes to Nikolai Ehlers, I've been told he doesn't really want to go anywhere. I know he doesn't have much of a choice. And I know this is mostly on Winnipeg, but Ehlers to the Islanders, it's been well over 3 days. Um, again, no one would love Ehlers coming to the Islanders probably more than me. Like you put Nikolai Ehlers with Brock Nelson. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. But I again, what's it going to cost? I don't know. And no one else. And again, I'm not saying Pagnotta's wrong or anything else like that, but Pagnotta's been the only one to really link Ehlers to the Islanders. I mean, that's enough to keep me intrigued, no doubt. But no one else has really come up with that. Then again, it could be Pagnotta pissing off Lou. I would, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be shocked at that either. No way. This one I'll shoot down. Happily shoot down. I couldn't see this happening. No. Ehlers and Toffoli. Is Toffoli a UFA? Because him going back to Los Angeles makes all the sense in the world to me. And again, we're just spitballing here. I've got nothing. I purposely don't pay attention to rumors between now and the draft day. So, I mean, for me, Toffoli going back to LA would make a lot more sense. True. That part is true. Also streaky. Very true. But does that make Wallstrom a 3.0? Is Wallstrom a Kyle Palmieri 3.0? Just asking. I still think Seplikov is going to be your top line right winger. That's my bold prediction. I'm sticking with it for now. Um, okay, that was the hope. Fair enough. Fair enough. I still think Seplikov is going to be your top right wing. I think the Islanders are going to give him every shot in the world. We'll see what happens. My hope is that the Islanders make the first round pick. Seplikov, realistic expectations. Well, listen, I said this on the show a couple of weeks ago. Anders Lee had roughly 13, 14 goals. Or I'll give him a little more credit 14, 15 goals, 5-on-5. Give him 14, get Seplikov 14, 15 goals, 5-on-5. If he makes any more on the power play, lovely. You're asking Seplikov to put in third line numbers on the first line with Bo Horvat and Matt Barzal. The kid can put the puck on net. That's what you want. You don't want Matthew Barzal holding the puck for as long as he have. Even though he's phenomenal at it, other teams know that if he holds on to the puck too long, they've got him. Matthew Barzal now has two options, and he knows where those pucks are going after he releases that puck to either Horvat or Seplikov. They're going towards the net, which is why I'm very interested to see Barzal's play without the puck. That's going to be a key right there. How many garbage goals can Matthew Barzal put in? Or how many rebounds can he pick up and pass it to either a wide open defenseman or a wide open Horvat or whatever? I love you, Nick. I do. I love that. Uh, yeah, stats wise, that's it. 15 goals minimum, 5-on-5. He'll rack up those points, but it's better than what Under Lee did. And this was the whole point of the show tonight. You've got Bridgeport kids, yay close to making an impact. And you've got some of these older Islanders who, if they get injured, all you're asking these kids to do is duplicate the numbers that these old injured players once had, and the team won't miss, the organization won't miss a beat. You understand where I'm going with this? It may only be one sloppy season, if that. Absolutely. Lee is slotted for that third line. No doubt. No doubt. Glittery free agents are for teams that have shown they can contend. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Ryan. Where is it? He had a very good season. Imagine him having another shooter, like a legit shooter. Okay, Anders Lee played his role. He did it very well, but it's not good enough on the first line anymore. Now Barzell has another weapon. He's got another weapon. Mangiapane, under the radar move. Okay. Okay. I'm not against that. I'm not against that at all. I kind of like that. Bingo. Hit the net, have 10 more goals. Who knows how many secondary assists? That's fine. But Siplikov is also a player that will play that crashing the net game as well. He's not so much of a perimeter shooter as he is in between the faceoff dots and garbage goals. He can still create some havoc there. Yzerman, here's my issue with Yzerman. He's an excellent shooter. He's right there. My issue with him is that that's all he does. I'm not putting him in a Mike Bossy category here, but Mike Bossy learned how to back check and forecheck and whatnot. Palfy learned how to do that. I don't think I would put Cole Yzerman in that category yet, but that's been the big knock on him. I don't think Yzerman's going to be a top 10 pick like he was supposed to be. I think they're going to give him the shot. Okay. And remember, he was 22 this entire season. 23 is my window here. 23 is what we really see out of Simon Holmstrom. The kid's got to shoot the puck. He said that in his exit interview. I said that at the beginning of the season. I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of hearing him say that. He's got to shoot the puck now. We have to see him shoot the puck. He's got a shot. He's got to use it more. 17, 22 goals is the absolute minimum for this kid. 17 to 22 goals is the absolute minimum for this kid. Minimum. I think he can be a top 6 for right now. But I will say this, if he can't put up 20 goals, look out for Alex Jeffries on that left wing side. I think Alex Jeffries is going to be your future left winger behind Matthew Barzell, and Simon Holmstrom at some point will be that third left winger. But because of his age, at 22 years old, he was putting up numbers he was supposed to, granted, a little more on the shorthanded side. But he was, if he could put up those numbers 5-on-5, second line, yes, please. 22. He was 5 goals less than Zach Parise, and he's 22 years old. I know a lot of people don't like to include 23 as a prospect. I do that on purpose. It's the Islanders. It's what we do. Okay. 24, 25 is when the mind and body finally come together. Every scout will tell you that. Every big prospect blogger will tell you that. The kid's only 22 and he put up 15 goals. I want to see what he can do at 23, but I need to see a better 5-on-5 game from him coming up. Where are we playing the older players, though? We're almost full here. Come on. Where are we putting them? Look, Nick, if you really want me to have fun with this, get some of those old players, make sure they're all on long-term injured reserve. Because that's what we're spending. Now we're Vegas. We're absolutely Vegas. No doubt about that. I I prefer Holmstrom to be a middle six. I don't think Holmstrom will ever be a bottom line forward. He'll be middle six. And it's kind of remind me of Franz Nielsen. Franz Nielsen was on the second line for a couple of seasons. He probably should have been moved down to the third line a little earlier. I'm sorry, a little earlier later on in his career. But I think Simon could be in that top. He can be that second line winger for a couple of seasons. But again, he's got to show it. 15 in the first half. It's all about consistency. And that's going to be Patrick Waugh in training camp. That's what we're looking at here. Oh, who on the Isles will see the biggest progression from? Believe it or not, guys, I may actually say Noah Dobson. Gary will say this. I will defend Gary here. I think Dobson still has another level to him. I do. Romanoff is evolving to a certain degree. I think Bolduc is going to evolve. Holmstrom, you got to see it. Holmstrom, you got to see it. I and believe it or not, I think you're going to see another level in Matthew Barzell. If Siplikov can put the game, put the puck on net, I think you're going to see another level from Matthew Barzell. It's right there. It's your younger players right now. It's your younger core that I continue to talk about, especially in the beginning of this, path to the draft. Your younger core players all have another level of some form to move up, and I think they're going to improve the team. There is some truth to that. But I said that at the beginning of the season, Thomas. I said the Islanders would get second because I thought Carolina was going to have some injury issues finally. I had the Devils in first, the Islanders in second, the Rangers in third. If the Rangers didn't have their goaltending the way they did, especially their backup goaltender, I don't think the Rangers are in where they were. But the Metro is going to be like that. The Devils are going to be interesting to see where they are. No doubt. I think Carolina is going to be a mess moving forward for right now. Pittsburgh, Washington, Philadelphia is going to be intriguing to watch. Columbus should be a little better. But sometimes you have to take advantage of those situations. And they did. Thank you, Patrick Waugh. McLean, if he can keep from breaking his stick, I agree with that. A full season of consistent Kyle McLean is also going to go a long way with this team, no doubt. It's all on the younger players at the moment. All right. I have talked to a couple of pro scouts. Every single one of them said, watch out for Sorokin having a monster season. This was a learning experience for him. They all agree he's gonna come back. This was a learned lesson for him. He's going to come back ready. He's gonna be here to prove a point. And as long as the defense remains lucky and healthier than this past season, they're expecting a huge bounce back from Sorokin. And it's like I said before, Sorokin's never had a season like this ever. Lane Lambert's system was very different from what Sorokin was used to this year, ever. It was always more of a Barry Trotz type of system. And by the time Patrick Waugh got here, again, like Noah Dobson, there was a big workload on Sorokin. But lesson learned. He'll come back. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I had New Jersey in first. I didn't think New Jersey was going to collapse. But again, Dougie Hamilton was injured. And I don't know if he's coming back from that, folks. That's, I'm hearing, I'm hearing Dougie Hamilton is going to have trouble getting back. I don't know if he's going to be healthy. That's the biggest factor, folks. The Devils don't have that big time defenseman. If Dougie Hamilton's injured, they're not going to be as good. The goaltending may help, but you need a Dougie Hamilton in that back end. A lot of people did not talk about that, but Dougie Hamilton was a huge factor. Yeah, yeah, and that's the key. And sometimes it's the system that gets the players injured. Sometimes. Bingo. Yeah. Patrick Waugh training camp is going to make a huge difference heading into the season. No doubt. So in free agency, from a Bridgeport Islanders perspective, I would love to see the Islanders pick up someone who does okay in the National Hockey League, but can put up some decent numbers in the American Hockey League. Kind of like a pass first centerman, somewhat of a steady two-way game if it's even available for Alex Jeffries and William DeFore. If the Bridgeport Islanders can do that, oh boy. I'm going to a few games, and that's 2 hours away from me there. No doubt. I'll probably travel to Lehigh Valley. I'll go to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. I'll see a bunch of those games. I would be excited for that first line. The second line, we'll see what Ishakov does. We'll see what he does. We'll see if he accepts that 1 year deal. And again, a right-handed defenseman. I wouldn't mind the Islanders signing. Again, free agency, another right-handed defenseman who maybe like a Hudson Fasching type of deal where he just never got a start anywhere else. But if he clears waivers, he's going to be solid on the right side and he could be a call up. If the Islanders can do that, there's absolutely no reason for the Islanders to trade their first round pick next year. Absolutely none. And honestly, they can probably I'm almost 50-50 whether or not the Islanders are going to trade this pick. I don't think they have to. They really don't have to. Lou is actually in a position of strength at this point when it comes to that first round pick. I think for right now, June 5th, I think he's going to make this pick. That's just the way I'm going with it right now. Yeah, Matthew, I was looking for you too. I got bombarded by a couple of people. So when I get back to UBS, you and I will meet up at the Heineken bar outside, and we'll hit we'll hit that spot real quick. If I do, it'll be back in early October if I get the chance. But we'll definitely do it. My God, it's an hour and 45 minutes. We almost did a 2 hour show here. I love the conversation with you guys. But it's all past your bedtimes. You know it. I know it. So we're going to call it here. Listen, next week, I'm going to have my prospect rankings finalized. I'm going to go over it on Saturday, and I'm going to come out with my first round wish list. I may type it up. I'm not sure yet. If I do, I'll let you guys know it on ilestalk.com. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not really worried about Sorokin's game. Yes, go Kyle Oposo. Go Florida Panthers. Cheers, guys. I'll come up with my wish list. It's almost finalized for round one. I'm going to see if I can work on round two. Maybe I'll give you both rounds next week, and then after that, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do before the draft. So we'll see what happens. Listen, enjoy the playoffs. Rumor mill, go at your own peril. Yeah, Okie definitely deserves a cup, no doubt. Again, rumors, go at your own peril. You guys have a great night. Organization wise, they're looking up. But it's time to put standards on this Bridgeport team moving forward. Standards is probably a bare minimum playoffs. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next week when we get very much into the draft. So you guys take care. Let's go Islanders. Let's go Kyle Oposo.